6, 2024, News Report 1. The General Administration of Customs of China released the foreign trade data for May today. The data shows that the export value reached $302.3 billion, an increase of 7.6% year-on-year, while the import value was $219.7 billion, an increase of 1.8% year-on-year, resulting in a trade surplus of $82.6 billion. In terms of export destinations, the United States was the largest, with exports totaling $44 billion, an increase of 3.6%, followed by the European Union with exports totaling $44.1 billion, a decrease of 0.98%. Exports to ASEAN amounted to $50.8 billion, an increase of 22.5%. Exports to Japan totaled $12.3 billion, a decrease of 1.57%, and exports to Russia totaled $9.1 billion, a decrease of nearly 2%. While the strong export data is impressive, the high container prices for exports to the United States in May have raised questions about export transportation costs and the high export value. It is currently not the peak season for Christmas stocking, and this data is unexpected, raising the possibility of data falsification. Regarding the significant increase in exports to ASEAN, it may be the result of Chinese companies stockpiling raw materials for export to Southeast Asian factories. Economist Huang Zichuan pointed out that President Biden's announcement in May of imposing high tariffs on 3 major components of Chinese electric vehicles may have prompted Chinese companies to ship goods ahead of the tariff taking effect, which is one of the reasons for the increase in China's exports to the United States. The decline in exports to Russia may be related to U.S. Secretary of State Blinken's request during his visit to China at the end of April for China to stop exporting dual-use products to Russia. In addition, both publicly and privately imposed restrictions on the export of dual-use products may also affect export data. News Report 2. Chinese Coast Guard continues to harass the Philippines, Taiwan, and Japan. Reuters reported that the Philippine Coast Guard stated on June 7 that Chinese Coast Guard ships obstructed the Philippines from evacuating 6 soldiers from Renai Reef in May. The Philippines described this behavior as barbaric and inhumane. The Philippine Coast Guard pointed out that a Chinese Coast Guard ship even intentionally collided with the Philippine lifeboat transporting the patients. Additionally, the Japan Coast Guard stated that at 10:30 a.m. on June 7, 4 Chinese armed Coast Guard ships, equipped with cannons, successively entered Japanese territorial waters near the Diaoyu Islands and left at noon. The Japanese government has lodged a strong protest with China through diplomatic channels. In the past, Chinese Coast Guard ships entering the waters near the Diaoyu Islands usually consisted of only 1 armed Coast Guard ship, but this time there were 4 armed Coast Guard ships. The last time a similar situation occurred was in August 2016, when up to 7 Chinese armed Coast Guard ships entered the waters near the Diaoyu Islands. The Chinese Coast Guard announced through its official WeChat account that the Chinese Coast Guard vessel 2501 conducted patrols near the Diaoyu Islands on June 7. Armed Coast Guard ships are usually retired warships. In recent years, China has been sending government vessels to the waters near the Diaoyu Islands to challenge Japan's sovereignty over the islands, attempting to prove that Japan cannot effectively control the area. June 7. CCTV reported that the Eastern Theater Command of the People's Liberation Army recently conducted training in the East China Sea, involving exercises such as the practical use of missile boats and fleet maneuvers, which lasted for several days. The East China Sea region includes China, Taiwan, the Korean Peninsula, Kyushu Island of Japan, and the Ryukyu Islands. The training activities will have an impact on these areas. The northeastern part of the East China Sea is the Tsushima Strait, which connects to the Sea of Japan, and the southwestern part is connected to the South China Sea through the Taiwan Strait. News Report 3. On June 6, the China Securities Regulatory Commission announced the first set of administrative penalty discretion rules for the capital market. The rules list 14 behaviors that should be punished severely, including assaulting, besieging, and pushing law enforcement officers, causing injury or restricting their personal freedom, seizing or damaging law enforcement equipment and personal belongings of law enforcement officers, evading, avoiding, or refusing to accept inquiries, leaving without reason, or not cooperating with law enforcement, intentionally providing false statements or false reports during inquiries, seriously affecting the stability of the capital market order, which may lead to financial risks and seriously endanger financial security, and bribery of law enforcement officers. Since Wu Qing took office, the China Securities Regulatory Commission has implemented several new regulations, but his approach has caused dissatisfaction among some investors. Wu Qing is considered a tough official who focuses on strict law enforcement and supervision but lacks initiatives in promoting market development and construction. This management style has caused resentment in the market, especially the frequent issuance of inquiry letters to listed companies. Recently, some investors have turned to exchanges to inquire why, in the context of the global economy generally improving, China's economy leads the world in terms of growth rate, but the Shanghai and Shenzhen stock markets have long been sluggish, lingering around the 3,000-point mark. Investors questioned whether the China Securities Regulatory Commission and the exchanges abused regulatory measures, leading to the continued downturn of the stock market, and asked whether the Shanghai and Shenzhen exchanges have the ability to manage the stock market sustainably. These questions about Wu Qing's management style suggest that he is only stirring up trouble rather than promoting market construction. News Report 4. On June 4, the Pinggu Sub-Bureau of the Beijing Public Security Bureau issued a notice recruiting 40 auxiliary police officers. The announcement stated that applicants who had studied, worked, or lived abroad in the past 6 months would not meet the employment conditions. The reason is that it is difficult to assess the experiences and political performances of these individuals abroad, so they will not be hired. Other conditions that would disqualify applicants include being dismissed from public office, administrative detention, involvement in illegal activities, or receiving public security penalties. In China, individuals with overseas experience are treated similarly to the above situations and cannot be hired. Furthermore, the Chinese National Immigration Administration has also specified similar conditions. China has continuously emphasized national security in recent years. Since the implementation of the newly revised counter-espionage law on July 1 last year and the newly revised National Secrets Protection Law on May 1 this year, even those who have been abroad for half a year may not be suitable for the position of auxiliary police. This situation evokes memories of political screenings during the Cultural Revolution. However, if someone is still recruited as a civil servant after going abroad, it indicates that they may have a special identity or mission. Such individuals, even with overseas experience, can still enter the civil service or official ranks, reflecting the special scrutiny and trust of the party. News Report 5. According to the Liberty Times, this year marks the centennial celebration of the Whampoa Military Academy. The Alumni Association of the Taiwanese Army Officers School organized 3,000 alumni of the Whampoa Military Academy to visit Guangzhou to commemorate the occasion. However, the Alumni Association requested members participating in this visiting group to submit complete personal information for the purpose of obtaining residence permits and mobile phone cards in mainland China. This request has attracted the attention of Taiwan's National Security Unit. In 1924, Sun Yat-sen established the Whampoa Military Academy in Guangzhou, which later moved to Kaohsiung but retained its campus site in Whampoa. It is worth mentioning that the establishment of the Whampoa Military Academy was supported and funded by the Soviet Union, which not only provided funds but also dispatched instructors. Therefore, Sun Yat-sen had a very close relationship with the Soviet Union, reflecting the policy of alliance with Russia and tolerance of communism at that time. The report pointed out that alumni of the Whampoa Military Academy will visit mainland China for a 6-day 5-night trip, including visits to Xiamen, Guangdong, and Nanjing, before June 13. The Alumni Association requested alumni to submit information including their name, gender, date of birth, address, photos, etc., and required them to provide fingerprints in China to obtain residence permits, mobile phone cards, bank accounts, and mobile payments. Additionally, the Alumni Association arranged for alumni to experience modern life in China, including taking airplanes, high-speed trains, and using facial recognition for entry. Taiwan's National Security Unit expressed concern that these requirements amounted to providing complete personal information of retired military officers to China, making it difficult for Taiwan's National Security Unit to track them in the future when they use Chinese phone cards for contact and mobile payments, potentially posing a threat to Taiwan's national security. The National Security Unit is concerned that this behavior will create security vulnerabilities, especially the increased difficulty of managing the personal information and subsequent tracking of retired military officers. For participants, although this visit can allow them to settle in mainland China and experience modern life, they may also face risks to their security and privacy. News Report 6. According to Xinhua News Agency, Premier Li Keqiang presided over an executive meeting of the State Council on June 7 to discuss promoting the high-quality development of venture capital investment. The meeting pointed out the need to optimize support policies throughout the entire chain, encourage insurance funds and social security funds to engage in long-term investment, actively attract foreign venture capital funds, broaden exit channels, improve policies for mergers and acquisitions, and share transfers, and create a good ecosystem for supporting the development of venture capital. In the past 20 years, China's venture capital industry has developed rapidly, with major funding sources coming from the United States and Japan. However, in recent years, foreign investors have largely withdrawn from China's venture capital industry. Li Keqiang proposed to create exit mechanisms to address this issue. He emphasized the need to attract social security funds, insurance funds, and others to participate in venture capital, as local government funds are limited. The executive meeting also listened to reports on the current situation of the real estate market and the construction of new models. The meeting emphasized the need to accelerate the construction of new models for real estate development, improve the market, strengthen the supply of affordable housing, and improve and reform the system of related infrastructure. Although this part may be somewhat abstract, it is still one of the important topics of the meeting. News Report 7. Chinese Minister of Public Security Wang Xiaohong and U.S. Secretary of Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas held a video call on June 7 and agreed to deepen cooperation in areas such as drug control and combating transnational crime. As early as February this year, the two met in Vienna to discuss cooperation on law enforcement issues, especially regarding the illegal flow of synthetic drugs like fentanyl. Since then, the two countries have established a joint anti-drug working group to address the spread of fentanyl. Fentanyl is a potent synthetic opioid that has caused a large number of drug-related deaths in the United States. Therefore, the United States hopes to combat the illegal production and distribution of fentanyl through cooperation with China, while China values the performance of the United States in this regard, reflecting the interaction and negotiation between the two sides on this issue. This cooperation indicates that China and the United States, when faced with global drug problems, may still find common interests and cooperate in solving certain key issues, despite existing conflicts in other areas. The continuation of this meeting and cooperation also demonstrates the joint efforts and pragmatic attitude of both countries in the field of drug control. News Report 8. According to Reuters, Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives Johnson and Senate Minority Leader McConnell issued a joint statement on June 6 announcing that Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu will deliver a speech in the U.S. Congress on July 24 to describe the true situation of Israel's operations against Hamas in Gaza. Netanyahu stated that he is honored to represent Israel to the representatives of the American people and the world, and described Israel's ongoing battle against Hamas as a just war to eliminate those trying to destroy Israel. Currently, Netanyahu's relationship with U.S. President Biden is tense. Biden initially expressed support for Israel's attacks on Hamas, but later turned to criticism and suspended the export of heavy bombs to Israel. It is reported that Hamas lost half of its forces during the 8-month war, reducing its original 20,000 to 25,000 combatants to about 9,000 to 12,000. Hamas adopted a tactic of hit-and-run ambushes and did not wear military uniforms, making it difficult for Israel to distinguish between ordinary civilians and Hamas fighters. Israeli Defense Forces spokesman Lena stated that the Israeli military is adapting to Hamas' tactical shift and admits that it is impossible to eliminate every Hamas fighter or destroy every Hamas tunnel, but Israel's goal is to destroy Hamas' ability as administrators. Netanyahu's national security advisor said last week that the war would last at least until the end of 2024, which has made Biden unhappy because the ongoing war is detrimental to him, as supporting either side would lose the votes of the other. In addition, Israel's news network reported that Major General Golan, commander of the Northern Command of the Israeli Army, announced on June 7 that they had completed the overall preparation for attacking the Hezbollah in southern Lebanon. Since the beginning of the conflict between Israel and Hamas last year, Hezbollah in Lebanon has been attacking northern Israel. Hezbollah is designated as a terrorist organization by the United States and has close ties with Iran. In recent weeks, conflicts between Hezbollah and Israel have escalated sharply, with Hezbollah increasing drone and rocket attacks, while Israel has intensified its attacks on Hezbollah targets in the Bekaa Valley in southern Lebanon. Israeli wartime cabinet member Gantz stated that Israel will reach an agreement or escalate the war before schools resume on September 1 to allow residents of northern Israel to return home. Golan stated that Israel will continue to use force and intelligence to fight until it brings security to northern Israel. The United States and France have been shuttling between Israel and Lebanon, hoping to formulate a diplomatic framework to resolve the conflict, including allowing Hezbollah forces to cross the Litani River or allowing international forces to enter the area for isolation. News Report 9. According to the Australian Broadcasting Corporation and the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, the Australian National University expelled a student named Beatrice Tucker. Tucker publicly stated in a TV program that unconditional support should be given to Hamas. The National University believes that Tucker's remarks constitute support for a terrorist organization, which clearly violates the school's code of conduct, so it decided to expel her. In addition, the Australian National University revealed that more than a month ago, a student supporting Palestine staged a protest camp on campus, during which there were 10 disciplinary incidents. The school has referred 4 of these incidents to the police for handling. Among the 4 incidents involved, 4 students were involved, 2 of whom were interviewed by the radio, one of whom was Tucker, who has now been expelled. The other 2 students engaged in anti-Semitic behavior during this period. News Report 10. According to reports, wage negotiations between South Korea's Samsung Electronics and its union have collapsed, and the Samsung Electronics Union will begin a strike on June 7. This is the first strike at Samsung in its 55-year history. The Samsung Electronics Union has 28,000 members, accounting for 22% of the company's total workforce. Union members protested in front of Samsung Electronics' Seoul office. The union pointed out that the reason for this strike is due to the losses at Samsung's memory and semiconductor factories in 2023, which led to Samsung's suspension of bonus payments, causing dissatisfaction among employees. In this year's negotiations, the Samsung management agreed to a 5.1% wage increase but rejected the union's demand to increase 1 day of paid leave, leading to the breakdown of negotiations. The union stated that employees will strike by taking 1 day of collective leave, emphasizing that this is the first stage of action, and there will be different forms of industrial action in the future. Currently, most of the participants in the strike are office workers at the headquarters, and the strike has not spread to the production line workers. According to the analysis of Taiwan's research institution Jibang Technology, the current strike is limited to 1 day, so it will not immediately affect the production of memory, but it is necessary to observe the progress of the union's actions to assess the potential impact on memory production. Samsung's share of the global chip market is 14%.